Trenchtown, Kingston, Jamaica, September 23, 1962. 17-year-old Bob Marley was sitting on tenement building steps, strumming his beat-up acoustic guitar. He had no idea that in 18 years, he would be a global superstar. Right now, he was just a poor kid with a guitar and a dream. If you love discovering the untold stories behind music history's most incredible moments, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell because we uncover the hidden gems that shaped the legends we know today. On this evening, young Bob Marley was about to save a life in a way that would create one of the most incredible circles of fate in music history. 6:30 p.m., Trenchtown. 25-year-old Dr. Marcus Williams walked through Trenchtown looking like a man who had died inside. He had just finished medical residency and was supposed to be celebrating. Instead, he carried suicide pills in his pocket. 3 days earlier, Marcus had made a mistake during surgery. A small mistake that cost a patient's life. A mother of 4 died because Marcus's hand slipped, because he was exhausted, because he failed when perfection was required. The hospital cleared him. Unavoidable complication. But Marcus knew the truth. He had killed someone. Those 4 children would grow up without their mother because he wasn't good enough. Marcus had grown up believing education was salvation, that becoming a doctor would give his life meaning. Instead, it had made him a killer. As he walked through his old neighborhood, Marcus heard guitar music coming from a nearby building. Simple chords, a young voice humming along. Something about the sound made him stop. 4:45 p.m., Bob Marley looked up as a well-dressed man approached the building steps where he was playing. The man looked familiar. Someone from the neighborhood who had gotten out, gotten educated, gotten lucky. But his face was wrong. Bob had seen that expression before in Trenchtown. It was the look of someone who had given up. "You play good music, youth," Bob said, continuing to strum. "What's your name?" Marcus was surprised by the question. Marcus Williams." "I'm Bob Marley. You look like you carrying heavy weight, brother." Marcus almost walked away. The last thing he needed was conversation with some teenager with a guitar. But something in Bob's voice, calm, knowing, without judgment, made him sit down on the steps. "You wouldn't understand," Marcus said. Bob kept playing, simple chords that seemed to ease the tension in the air. "Try me. Sometimes talking to a stranger easier than talking to family." Marcus looked at this young man, barely more than a boy, poor, probably uneducated, certainly without prospects. What could he possibly understand about failure, about the weight of responsibility, about the burden of killing someone through your own incompetence? But the music kept playing, and somehow Marcus found himself talking. "I'm a doctor," Marcus said. "Worked my whole life to become one. Thought it would mean something. Thought I could help people. 3 days ago, I killed someone. Made a mistake in surgery. A woman died because of me." Bob's fingers never stopped moving on the strings, but his eyes focused on Marcus with surprising intensity. "You kill her on purpose?" "No, of course not." "You try to save her?" "Yes, but you human. And humans make mistakes." Marcus shook his head. "Doctors can't make mistakes. People trust us with their lives. When we fail, people die." Bob played a few more chords, then stopped. "Marcus, let me tell you something about Trenchtown. Every day people die here. From hunger, from violence, from sickness that could be cured if they had money for medicine. They die because there are no doctors who care about poor people. They die because there's no hope." Bob leaned forward. "You made one mistake. How many people you gonna save in your life? How many children gonna live because you there? How many mothers gonna go home to their families because you don't give up?" Marcus felt tears starting. "But those children, they lost their mother because of me." "Yes," Bob said simply, "and that gonna hurt forever. But if you kill yourself, how many other children gonna lose their mothers because the doctor who could have saved them wasn't there?" Bob started playing again, this time singing softly. Don't worry about a thing, every little thing gonna be all right. Don't worry about a thing, every little thing gonna be all right. It was a simple melody, hopeful but not naive, acknowledging pain but promising that pain could be survived. You know what I think, Marcus? Bob said after finishing the song. I think you became a doctor because you got a good heart. One mistake don't change your heart. It just make you more careful, more humble, more human. Marcus wiped his eyes. How do you know all this? You're just a kid. Bob smiled. Music teach you about people, about pain, about hope, about how we all connected. Besides, I seen enough death in Trenchtown to know that life precious, even when it hurt. They sat together in silence for several minutes, Bob playing quiet melodies while Marcus wrestled with thoughts of guilt and redemption. Finally, Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out the bottle of pills. He looked at them for a long moment, then handed them to Bob. I don't need these anymore. Bob took the bottle and threw it into a nearby trash bin. Good choice, brother. The world need doctors who care, even doctors who make mistakes. Marcus stood up. Thank you, Bob. I don't know why I told you all this, but thank you. We all need somebody to listen sometimes, Bob said. You gonna be all right, Marcus. You gonna save a lot of lives. As Marcus walked away, Bob called after him. Hey, Marcus, when I get famous, you come see my concerts, yeah? Marcus laughed, the first real laugh he'd had in days. When you get famous? You think you gonna be famous? Bob grinned and played a dramatic chord. Youth, I gonna be bigger than Elvis. You wait and see. 18 years later, New York City, May 1980. Dr. Marcus Williams, now one of the leading oncologists at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, was reviewing a case file that had just arrived from Miami. The patient was a 35-year-old Jamaican musician diagnosed with acral lentiginous melanoma, a rare and aggressive form of skin cancer that had started under his toenail and was now spreading throughout his body. The patient's name was Robert Nesta Marley. Marcus stared at the file in disbelief. Bob Marley, the same Bob Marley who had talked him out of suicide 18 years ago in Trenchtown. The teenager with the guitar who had promised to become bigger than Elvis, and had kept that promise. Marcus had followed Bob's career from the beginning. He had bought every album, attended concerts whenever Bob played in New York. He had never tried to contact Bob or remind him of their meeting. What would be the point? Bob probably didn't even remember that night in 1962, but now Bob was dying. The cancer had spread to his lungs, liver, and brain. According to the medical reports, Bob was refusing conventional treatment, choosing instead to pursue alternative therapies in Europe and Jamaica. Marcus made a decision that violated every protocol of patient confidentiality and medical ethics. He picked up the phone and called the number listed as Bob's management company. This is Dr. Marcus Williams at Sloan Kettering, he told the assistant who answered. I need to speak with Bob Marley immediately. Tell him it's the doctor from Trenchtown. He'll understand. May 15, 1980, Bob's hotel room in New York. Bob was lying in bed, weak from the cancer and the treatments he'd been trying. When Tony Welsh told him about the phone call from Dr. Marcus Williams, Bob's eyes widened with recognition. Marcus? The doctor from Trenchtown? That Marcus? He said you'd understand, Tony replied. Bob smiled weakly. Bring him here. An hour later, Marcus stood in Bob's hotel room. Bob looked older, thinner, but his eyes still held that same intensity Marcus remembered from 18 years ago. Marcus, my brother, Bob said, struggling to sit up. You kept your promise. You saved a lot of lives. Marcus couldn't speak for a moment. Bob, when I saw your name on the case file. Jah works in mysterious ways, Bob said. You think it coincidence that you the doctor who can help me now? Marcus pulled up a chair. Bob, I've been researching your case since I got the file. There's an experimental treatment we're developing here. It's not approved yet, it's risky, but it might work. It might. I can't promise anything. The cancer has spread significantly. But this treatment, it's specifically designed for melanomas like yours. Bob nodded slowly. You remember that night in Trenchtown, when you wanted to give up? I remember everything about that night. You told me doctors can't make mistakes. I told you that humans make mistakes. But that don't mean you stop trying to save people. Marcus understood. You're asking me to try to save you, even though I might fail. I'm asking you to do what you became a doctor to do. Help people. Whether you succeed or fail, that not up to you. That up to the Almighty. June, November 1980, experimental treatment. Marcus worked with Bob in secret. The experimental immunotherapy he had been developing showed promise in lab tests, but it had never been tried on humans. Using it on Bob Marley without official approval could end Marcus's career, even land him in prison. But every day he worked with Bob, Marcus remembered that night in 1962. The teenager who had saved his life was now trusting him to try to return the favor. The treatment was brutal. Bob suffered through side effects that left him weak, nauseous, barely able to stand. But for several months, it seemed to work. The cancer stopped spreading. Some tumors actually shrank. During the treatment sessions, Bob and Marcus talked about everything: music, spirituality, family, the responsibilities that come with talent and education. You know what I learned from you that night, Marcus? Bob said during one session. I learned that music can heal more than just souls. It can heal hearts, minds, spirits. That's why I kept making music even when things got hard. You saved my life, Marcus replied. I was ready to give up, but you showed me that my mistakes didn't define me. My response to my mistakes, that's what defined me. December 1980. The experimental treatment stopped working. The cancer returned with a vengeance, spreading faster than before. Bob's body, weakened by months of experimental drugs, couldn't fight anymore. In Bob's final weeks, Marcus visited him every day. Not as his doctor, there was nothing more medical science could do, but as his friend. Did we fail, Marcus? Bob asked during one of their last conversations. Marcus thought carefully before answering. We tried something that had never been tried before. We gave you 6 months you wouldn't have had otherwise. In those 6 months, you finished Redemption Song. You spent time with your children. You made peace with people in your life. Did we cure your cancer? No. Did we fail? I don't think so. Bob smiled weakly. You know what's funny? 18 years ago, you thought your life was over because you made one mistake. Now you're trying experimental treatments, taking risks, maybe making new mistakes. But you're not afraid anymore. You taught me that mistakes are part of trying, and trying is what makes us human. Bob died on May 11, 1981 in Miami. Marcus was there holding his friend's hand as he passed. Dr. Marcus Williams, now 84 years old and retired, still tells the story of the night Bob Marley saved his life. The experimental treatment he developed for Bob was later refined and approved, saving thousands of cancer patients over the decades. In his office, Marcus keeps 2 things: a photo of Bob Marley performing Redemption Song at his last concert, and the medical notes from their experimental treatment sessions. Not because the treatment cured Bob, but because it represented everything Marcus had learned about the purpose of medicine. People ask me if I'm sad that the treatment didn't save Bob, Marcus says in interviews. But that's the wrong question. The right question is, did I do everything I could to help my friend? The answer is yes, and Bob taught me that sometimes that's enough. The Marcus Williams Cancer Research Foundation, established with royalties from Bob's estate, continues to develop experimental treatments for rare cancers. Above the entrance to the foundation's main laboratory is a quote from Bob Marley. One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. Below that, in smaller letters, is another quote from their first conversation. Every little thing gonna be all right. If this incredible story of friendship, redemption, and the way our lives connect in unexpected ways moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that our mistakes don't define us. Our responses to them do. Have you ever had a conversation that changed your life? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more untold stories about the moments when ordinary people become part of extraordinary legacies.